Lights flickering, waiters sweeping by in smooth choreography, when I stood up and said, "I've been promoted to director of operations." Applause. Cheers. My manager beamed. My husband squeezed my hand. Then, exactly 3 seconds later, just like I knew she would, my sister gasped, clutched her stomach, and crumpled dramatically onto the floor. "Oh God, not again," someone whispered. Chaos erupted. Chairs scraped. A waiter dropped a glass. My mom shouted for water. My dad was already unbuttoning his shirt collar like he might faint in sympathy. And me? I calmly reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and connected it to the Bluetooth speaker. "Before we call the ambulance," I said, standing slowly, "I think it's time we all watched this." The room froze. I tapped play, and there she was, 20 minutes earlier, in the parking lot, laughing with her boyfriend, clutching her iced latte and saying, "As soon as she announces it, I'm going down." Like fully collapsing. "It'll steal the spotlight for the rest of the night. Just wait." My name is Riley. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Because have you ever been gaslit so many times, you started second-guessing your own joy? Have you ever dimmed your own light out of guilt for someone else's theatrics? I used to feel sorry for her. Her mystery illness. The attention. The constant emergencies that only seemed to strike when I was finally winning. But not anymore. This time, I came prepared. Because some sisters fake illness. And some sisters record receipts. My sister was still writhing on the floor when the video ended. Nobody clapped. Nobody gasped. They just stared, like they were finally seeing the truth they'd ignored for years. Her eyes fluttered open. "Wow, what is this?" "Reality," I said. "Welcome to it." And while everyone stood there, too stunned to speak, I sat back down, took a sip of champagne, smiled at my promotion cake. Because the only thing sweeter than success is serving it cold. Silence thickened around us like fog. My sister blinked, still sprawled dramatically on the floor, like she forgot how legs work. But the spotlight she craved had shifted, hard. Everyone's eyes were glued to the screen. No tears now. No pity. Just disgust. The video had ended only seconds ago, but it rang louder than any scream she could fake. She sat up slowly, brushing imaginary dust from her designer blouse, voice trembling. "I was joking," she stammered. "You seriously recorded me? That's messed up, Riley." "No," I said calmly, leaning back in my chair. "What's messed up is faking a collapse every time I succeed." My mother stepped forward, still clutching the napkin she'd grabbed in the panic. "Honey, was that really?" "Yes, Mom," I said. That was 5 minutes before dinner, right before she parked in a handicapped spot she doesn't need and smiled the whole way in. My sister's boyfriend looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. He was in the video too, laughing, encouraging it. "The drama's part of her charm," he'd said. "You've got to time it just right." She tried to stand, wobbling like she was still in character. "People here know I've been dealing with chronic issues for years," she said, voice tightening. "Not everything is about you." I laughed then, not bitter, just done. "You're right," I said. "Tonight wasn't supposed to be about you, but you made sure it was." I turned to the table of executives from my company, men and women who had watched the whole scene with narrowed eyes. My boss raised his glass and said quietly, "To Riley, for always coming prepared." A few people chuckled. My sister's face turned white, because for once, her drama hadn't stolen the spotlight. It had handed it to me. She stormed out 5 minutes later, dragging her humiliated boyfriend behind her like a broken prop. And the moment the door closed behind them, the room relaxed. Laughter returned. Wine poured. And my father, quiet and skeptical for years, clinked his glass to mine and said, "I'm sorry we let her do that to you for so long." I nodded, holding back tears, because it was the first time someone in the family finally said it. But this was just the start. She didn't know it yet, but that video was only one of many. She blocked me the next morning. Text, social, even email. A full digital tantrum, Exactly what I expected from someone whose favorite trick just went up in flames. But blocking me wouldn't stop what came next, because the video had done more than expose her. It unlocked something. I started getting messages, quiet ones, private ones, from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Cousins, childhood friends, even one of her ex-boyfriends. All of them saying the same thing. I saw the clip. I've been waiting for someone to finally call her out. They told me stories. So many stories. How she faked a panic attack at someone's baby shower because the attention was off her. How she pretended to faint at grandma's memorial because I was asked to read the eulogy. How she once told an old friend's fiancé that she had early signs of MS, just to keep him from proposing. I sat on my couch, scrolling through messages, each one peeling back another layer. And with each one, I stopped feeling like the villain in her drama. I started feeling like the historian. And I was done letting her write the script. I compiled the messages, the stories, the screenshots, not to post, not to shame, but to protect myself, because I knew her next move wouldn't be apology. It would be retaliation. And sure enough, 3 days later, I got the call. It was my mother. Riley, your sister's telling everyone you doctored the video, that it was fake. I closed my eyes, let the heat rise, then fall. Of course she was. The truth didn't work in her world, so she bent it until people believed they imagined what they saw. Do you believe her? I asked quietly. My mother paused. Then no, not anymore. That silence between us? That was 20 years of being told I was too sensitive. And it finally broke. Good, I said, because I've got more where that came from. She gasped. Riley, are you going to ruin her? I looked at the folder of files on my desk. The carefully saved memories of chaos I didn't create, but was always asked to clean up. No, I said. I'm not going to ruin her. I'm going to let her ruin herself, this time, in front of everyone. It didn't take long for her version of the story to spread. She edited it. She ambushed me. She's always been jealous. I watched it happen in real time, group chats lighting up, distant relatives suddenly liking her sad little cryptic posts, old friends sliding back into her corner like she hadn't burned them years ago. But this time, no one called to ask me for my side, because I'd already shown it, on video, on record, with proof. And her tantrum wasn't getting the reaction she was used to. No sympathy, no flowers, just silence, which made her spiral. She texted my dad next. I'm worried about Riley. This obsession with hurting me isn't normal. He sent me a screenshot. She always flips it like this, he wrote. You okay? I replied, I'm not hurting her. She's just finally feeling what truth sounds like. And I was more than okay. I was focused. Because I had a plan. I'd already been contacted by a wellness podcast, one that focused on mental health and family dynamics. They saw the video. They for drama, for truth. Talk about how people like your sister use illness as currency, the host said on the call. Your story resonates. You're not alone. And I wasn't. Hundreds of women had DM'd me since the dinner, each one saying the same thing. My sister did this too. My mom still makes me apologize. I thought I was crazy. So I said yes. And when the episode aired, I told everything. The fake fainting at my scholarship banquet. The panic attacks that only happened when I was thriving. The way my family always said, just let her have this, Riley. Don't make a scene. But this time, I made the scene. Not with screaming. Not with revenge. With truth. And the best part? At the end of the episode, the host asked, what would you say to your sister if she were listening right now? I paused, then said, I don't need you to change. I just need you to know I won't bleed quietly for you anymore. And when that clip went viral, she finally stopped trying to play the victim, because the internet doesn't forget. And neither do little sisters who learn to carry receipts instead of resentment. I knew she'd show up eventually. And when she did, it wasn't with flowers. It was with fury. She cornered me outside a bookstore downtown, of all places. I just finished signing copies of the podcast feature that had been published as an essay. The line had stretched around the block. She waited until the last person left. Riley, she hissed, sunglasses still on, even though the sky was overcast. You need to stop this. I looked at her, really looked. She was unraveling. Hair pulled too tight, lipstick smudged, designer tote hanging off her arm like a costume that didn't fit anymore. I haven't said your name once, I said. You're the one who keeps confirming it's about you. Don't play innocent. You humiliated me in front of our entire family. No, I said, folding my arms. You humiliated yourself. I just played back the footage. She stepped closer. You think you're the hero now? Just because you got lucky with a recording? Not lucky, I said, voice even. Prepared. She scoffed. You've always been so obsessed with control. You think this makes you powerful. I took a deep breath, and then said the thing I never thought I'd say out loud. I don't want power over you. I just don't want to live under you anymore. She blinked. For the first time, her mouth didn't move, because it wasn't about the video, or the dinner, or the podcast. It was about finally saying the thing I swallowed for years, that her chaos wasn't my responsibility, that her pain wasn't a free pass to erase mine, that I could love her from a distance she couldn't damage me from. You ruined our family, she whispered. No, I said. I just refuse to let you keep ruining me. She didn't have a comeback. She turned, walked away, and for the first time in my life, I didn't chase her. Because healing isn't a speech, it's a boundary. And mine was finally cemented. That night, I tucked my phone into a drawer, lit a candle, sat down with tea. No recording, no evidence, no audience, just peace. The kind that doesn't need proof. Because my story was no longer about exposing her. It was about reclaiming me. It was my mother who called next, voice tight, tone rehearsed. Riley, she said, can we talk? Just us. I almost didn't answer, but some part of me, the child still waiting to be seen, still picked up. She didn't waste time. Your sister's struggling. She's not leaving the house. She feels targeted. I closed my eyes, counted to 3. Mom, she was the target of her own arrow. She sighed. You've made your point, she said, like this was some game we were playing. Do you want to lose your family over this? There it was. Not I'm sorry we let her steal from your life. Not I wish we'd protected your joy. Just the usual. Your boundary is the problem. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. You think I want to lose my family? I said. Do you know how many times I've dimmed myself to keep this fragile thing stitched together? Riley, it's not that simple. Yes, Mom, it is. Every time I got a win, she found a way to collapse into it. Every time. And you all told me to understand, to share, to be kind. Silence. Did you ever once tell her to stop? She didn't answer. So I kept going. She's not the victim here. She just hates that I finally refused to play the understudy in her one-woman tragedy. More silence. Then, quietly, she said she doesn't know who you are anymore. I smiled. Good. That means I've finally changed. Because for the first time, I wasn't begging to be heard. I was letting them sit in their own echo chamber and figure it out without me. We ended the call politely. But that night, I received a message from my cousin. A screenshot of a group chat I'd never been in. The family thread. My sister had left it. My mother had gone quiet. And someone had written, honestly, Riley was right. 3 words. Nothing flashy. But they landed harder than any spotlight. I closed the message. Sat with it. Not in triumph. In truth. Because I wasn't trying to destroy my sister. I just stopped letting her destroy me quietly. It happened on a Wednesday. I was walking out of a community center, fresh from a panel on emotional boundaries, when I saw the note tucked under my windshield. Folded in half. No name. Just one sentence. I'm sorry. I don't know who I am without being the one who hurts you. I knew the handwriting. My sister slanted, chaotic loops, beautiful, desperate, messy, just like her. I stared at it. not with anger, but with a stillness that comes when the storm finally runs out of things to throw. Because I realized that line wasn't a trap. It was a confession. She had built her identity on shadowing mine, collapsing when I rose, grieving when I thrived, suffocating me softly with 1,000 tiny crises no one dared question. And now, there was nothing left for her to pull from, because I'd cut the cord. I didn't text her. I didn't post it. I didn't even tell my mother. I just folded it once more and dropped it into my desk drawer next to the old family photos I used to keep out of guilt. Later that night, I sat with my daughter on the couch, helping her practice a speech for school. "What's it about?" I asked. "Standing up for yourself," she said, "even if it makes people uncomfortable." I smiled. "That's a powerful thing," I said. She grinned. "I learned it from you." And that was the moment I knew the cycle had broken. Because I didn't just protect my own joy. I taught the next version of me how to own hers. Across town, I imagined my sister staring at her screen, watching her likes dry up, her messages slow down, her identity, wrapped in drama, peeling off, layer by layer. But I didn't feel pity. I felt peace. Because I wasn't winning in her game. I'd left the table. And the life I was building now, it didn't need a villain. It just needed truth. The final shift wasn't loud. There was no confrontation, no screaming match, no late night door pounding like in the past. Just a quiet, irreversible moment. A family wedding. Not hers this time, our cousin's. She came alone, sat in the back, didn't make a scene. I watched her from across the room. She didn't speak to me, didn't approach, didn't steal the mic during speeches or stage a fainting spell during the cake cutting. She just watched. And for once, she didn't try to twist the room around her gravity. Maybe she was tired. Or maybe she finally realized that no one was orbiting her anymore. I stood to give a toast. A real one. Not the kind interrupted by performative gasps or attention seizures. The crowd listened, clapped, smiled, and she stayed seated. After the wedding, as I was walking to my car, I found her waiting by the exit. She looked smaller, older, like she'd finally seen the mirror she spent years running from. "I liked your speech," she said. I nodded. "Thanks." A pause. "I'm not asking to come back in," she said. "I just wanted to say, I know. I know what I was. What I did." I studied her face. For the first time, I didn't see the version of her I had to protect myself from. I saw a person learning to stand without a spotlight. "I'm not angry anymore," I said. "Good," she whispered. "You looked lighter up there." I smiled faintly. "I am." We stood in the quiet. No hugging. No crying. No apologies begging to be accepted. Just two women on opposite ends of a long, complicated history. "I wish we could have been something better," she said. "We still can," I replied. "Just separately." She nodded. And that was it. She walked to her car. I walked to mine. And for the first time in years, I didn't look back. Because healing isn't about making people pay. It's about making yourself free. And I